And that's what they've done here. I guess Freddie Peralta pitched okay, and then he didn't pitch okay, then they brought in Bruce Raley.
Our new colleague Clay for speaking with you this morning, brand new, and came in with a lot already on the plate. One of your outlets, I can't remember where I read it, but one of you very smartly noted it's a Fuller house now with Clay Fuller. So it is. We're happy to have him. We have 5 bills on the floor this week. You heard a little bit about it. I just wanted to make a couple of additional comments about what we're doing here because it's important. All of these things have one thing in common. They're going to streamline permitting and reduce the regulatory burdens on American builders and farmers and innovators and energy producers. And that's what we're all talking about this morning. We're going to pass 2 pieces of legislation that are going to build specifically on President Trump's work to restore America's energy dominance. The Reliable Federal Infrastructure Act rolls back an outdated and inefficient green energy mandate on federal buildings and military installations, which will allow agencies to pursue efficient, cost-effective energy solutions that meet their needs. What a concept. The second one, the HEATS Act, is going to help unlock American geothermal production. This is reliable, renewable energy that has huge potential for diversifying America's energy supply. This legislation will remove unnecessary permitting hurdles and help.
All right, let's see.
Hey everybody, today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, and our dear friend, our brother, Max Blumenthal is here with us. Welcome back, Max.
Good to see you, Nima.
Let me start, Max, with the latest sort of, move on the part of the United States and Iran. In Iran, they're talking about as long as they have these American blockades, they're not going to go to Islamabad to talk with Americans. And not only the blockade, but the whole atmosphere of the negotiations. They don't see anything positive coming out of these negotiations. On the part of the United States, they're prepared. We've learned from CNN, from the New York Times, that J.D. Vance is prepared to go there, but he doesn't see that Iran is prepared to be there. That's why they're somehow they're doubtful about if the trip gonna happen or not. What is your understanding of the current situation?
Well, it doesn't matter whether J.D. Vance goes or not. He would just be a sort of supplement to the dual-use negotiators of Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who serve Israel and the U.S., but are effectively supplementing Israeli power and have no technical wherewithal or knowledge. Steve Witkoff actually in one interview in February referred to the Strait of Hormuz, the central node of strategic tension right now, as the Gulf of Hormuz. These are they're not bunglers because they know exactly what they're doing, but they're idiots, and they are also subjects of influence by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, which are effectively in line with Israel at this point in seeking the destruction of the Islamic Republic, especially the United Arab Emirates. The UAE's Sovereign Wealth Fund and the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund have contributed billions of dollars to Jared Kushner. And this goes totally unreported in U.S. media whenever Kushner's name comes up as a negotiator. The UAE now is pushing for a ground invasion of Iran.
That's just opinion. All right, let's get started. Railtown, 19,398,259 shares. Bravo, you guys are doing a great job. 19,398,000 shares. Incredible. Incredible. The stock's going up today. It's up 2.5 cents. The markets are down. There's a rumor that Trump tried to locate the nuclear codes, and some general, I guess, raising Cain, said you can't do it or something. I don't know if I believe it. But my point is, I'm not trying to go into delve into opinion. I'm just trying to stay on to what might be causing the markets to show some weakness. Maybe we're going to war. And I'm sure it's all nothing we can predict about it, and it's all perfect. So let's go to the stocks. Xanadu, which is the one that ran up to 42, is down now 468. But I'm not sure. I actually don't really know much about that, but I'm not sure that is over at all. But it's at 22.94. Railtown's up 2.5 cents at 33.81, and of course it is. HLP, the one that popped up on Ham's just briefly on his horizon there, is down 14 cents at 103. But I don't know. It's had a lot of volume, so feels like something's going on there. Finger is down 3 cents at $1. So, you know, I guess you can keep waiting to move from Finger to Railtown, but I wouldn't wait right now. You know, last June, Finger was, I have it in a notebook, but to my memory, Finger was about $5.50 a share. And Railtown was 38 cents, 42 cents, something like that. And of course, if you looked only at one side of the trade, if you had sold Finger then and bought Railtown, you only looked at Railtown, you're like, it's been flat to down. It's just awful. But if you looked at the other side, the selling Finger side, Finger's worth only less than 20% of what it was worth last year. It's down over 80%. So, just got distracted. So I still think, even though now, back then I think you could get, if I'm right on my memory, but the exactness doesn't matter. The point is, sorry, the point is what matters here. You could buy, back then you could buy 14 shares of Railtown for 1 share of Finger. Today you can buy 3 shares of Railtown for 1 share of Finger. I think in the next 3 to 8, you might not have to wait that long. In the next 3 to 6 weeks, you'll be able to buy 1 share of Railtown for every share of Finger. And Finger doesn't have to go down for that to happen. Anyway, so that's a pretty good day today. Those are days a day. Let's see if there's any filings. The volume in Canada, 283,000. The bid size is 15,000 shares. I have a feeling that's real. It could be spoofing, but I have a feeling it's real. And all you need to know is anytime I get close to being able to buy a few shares, the stock will be going up. So that's just how it goes. And I guess it's a lesson for me to deal with I tell you guys it, so I guess I have to follow my own harsh medicine, which is deal with it, you know. Each day's a new day. But I think we've reached the point with Railtown that if you play for the best price, you run the risk of missing the trade. And it's not a trade. It's my contention is Railtown is completely mispriced. And when it is repriced, I've argued that it could be slow, you know, crab-like or stair step up, back, up, back, up, back until it gets to $5 or $6. But it could happen very quickly too. It could happen very quickly. I think the catalyst we're waiting for is TELUS. And it has been TELUS for quite a while. So, it's distracting. All right, let me see what you guys are talking about, and then we'll go over a few things. Oh, by the way, on the gold deal that many of you were in, and I will continue trying to raise money on it. I just received information that what I expected, what I thought, and what I felt is happening. It hasn't happened yet, but it's imminent. Not the original guy, but the gentleman who put up $1 million after studying the company and meeting with the engineers and his engineer, his doctor of metallurgy, I guess, met with the main guy at the company for a few weeks over a period of time, went to the site, you know, processed it, and they put $1 million in. And we were waiting for my investor, who I'm actually not sure if he ever received his money. It's not his fault. His money just never was released out of a Kafka-esque bureaucracy. But they're going to make a bid for the company. They're going to try to buy the whole company and give all of us an override. And I think it's not as bad as going bust, but reportedly it's going to have a cap on it. So it's the low end of what the upside could be. I mean, it probably would be a 20 or 20x kind of thing, maybe more. So for the guy who I think his intentions were to be able to come up with the 5 million, it's a shame that his money was tied up, because now this group, very smart attorneys and deal makers and SEC trained and also Wall Street trained deal makers, I think they're going to make the killing of a lifetime. And they're going to come get it, cap us out. And it's really a shame. You know, at even 50 million ounces of gold, which that might be a low, that probably is a very low number, but at 50 million ounces of gold at $5,000, Um, oh, what did I do? I said I put down 50 billion, 50 million times. It's $250 billion. And they'll probably cap us out at, my guess is they'll cap us out at 150 to 200 million, which is, I'm just trying to do it in my head. That would be, um, that would be 6 times our money. And so maybe they'll negotiate a little higher, but look what they're going to get. Now, of course, if gold doesn't go up, that's not what they'll get net, but I think gold's going to 20,000, 30,000 an ounce. And it's all because a bureaucrat has held up my guy's money, that it leaves this opening. And I tried, and many of you tried. I'm going to still argue that we deserve a seat at the table and that we deserve to be at least get some part of whatever that deal is. But I'm also going to try to put together some investors and see if we can make a counter offer bid along the lines of what we had originally agreed to. Because this is, this will probably give a 5x or 10x or even 20x on our money, but that's not why you took the risk. And I don't understand. Anyway, all we can do is go from where we are. It's quite frustrating. My guy never put any money up because he was waiting on his distribution. And anyway, we are where we are. So I'll keep you updated on that. I guess the good news is this investor, very smart guys, deal makers, Wall Street investor types, deal types. They've done their due diligence and they're willing to buy the company. But I doubt they'll put up more than 2 or 3 million at first, and then they'll have stages because they're all very smart deal makers. And at most, they'll put up $10 million, and they'll get $250 million back at 50 million ounces. But there could be 5 times, 6 times that many ounces there. It's truly a fortune maker. And remember, I used to get so upset about attorneys and regulators of a certain ilk. Well, this is why, because that's what this setup is. It's just so expensive. But I'll try to through our vehicle, because we've already got some standing, make a counter bid, and I've got to think through how to do it. Going to have to find a foundational investor and do our best. See if we can stay in the game. It has to go for shareholders vote. So I'm not sure. The last time it didn't pass, and maybe this time it won't pass, but most of the investors are approaching um, eternity. So they may just sign off on it. Anyway, let's move on to your questions. Jimmy McCate, which broker can I purchase Railtown? Hi, Jimmy. Welcome. I think most of the online brokerage houses, it's an interesting point you bring up. A lot of the brokerage places that do fractional shares, like Webull and I don't know, Red Top or whatever they're all called, they don't let you buy Railtown. And then, of course, the big shops like, the Merrills and the Prudentials, if that's still around, they don't allow you to buy it. So it's your over-the-counter firms like E-Trade, I suppose Schwab, and those kind of firms will allow you to buy Railtown. If you can't find a firm in the United States, but I know those allow you to. You can buy it in Canada, and they have pretty much broad participation through all of the Canadian brokerage firms, but it might take time to set that up. So any of the online brokerage firms that are not those fractional reserve fronts for the shorts, the Weebulls, the Red Bulls, and the Purple Bulls, I don't know, you know all the names, Trade Station, the rest of them. Those companies specifically do not give you shares. They just give you allocations of paper shares. Well, I guess shares are paper, but you know what I mean, counterfeit shares. But it's an interesting point from the opposite side that you bring up, Jimmy, because one of the reasons the stock is still down here is those other platforms don't allow buying. And so any brokers there or any clients there are not able to buy Railtown. Once Railtown's price goes up, particularly over $5, you're going to see all sorts of participation. But those Weebulls and the others, there's a lot of guys and girls around the world using their phone to buy and sell crypto and buy and sell stocks, and they're not allowed to play. International IBKR doesn't let you buy Railtown. So once the stock starts going up, that's a whole new source of buyers that comes in. But anyway, I would try E-Trade, Schwab, Fidelity, those kind of firms. Jason Harbison, hello, William. Jason Harbison, happy Green Day, RT crew. Yes, I think as it goes green, it will be volatile. But as it goes green, you're not going to be talking about a day or a week or a month. You're going to be green for a long, long time. I'm not saying it won't have its volatility, but there's so many things I have to teach you about margin and hedging with puts, which we don't have that option right now, but I think we will in the future. But also about the multiples on revenues are so high. If we get a huge crash in the market, those multiples are going to shrink. But relative to the rest of the market, the multiples will probably still stay strong. You'll be in the best neighborhood. You'll be in one of the leadership um, industries if a after a crash, if a crash happens. But those we don't have to talk about those now. Thank you, Jason. Donna, hello. Hi, Donna. Unknown stuntman, Red 5 standing by. Silver Skyrocket. Hey, William, hello, everyone. Shorts can go step on attack. Yes. E. Belanger, nice to see the volume today. Mais oui, mon, is it mon cher? My friend. Pete the Greek, Upa, Pat M, mein Gott. Hi, y'all. Fast Eddie, good day to you, Sir William. UJ Yukon, CJ Yukon, sorry. Hey, William and crew. Darren Collins, Sir William, Buckeye, Green Day, yes. Green Day and Green Bay. We're now up, I guess, a penny, but you're right, it's green. We're at 33 cents. I hope that guy that I kind of jumped on yesterday, GB, I hope he's made his move. He's probably hesitant because fingers down 2 cents. Railtown's up a penny. He's not seeing movement. But man, I tell you, that guy is sitting on an opportunity to buy 100,000 shares of Railtown, and he's hesitating. I don't know about he who hesitates is lost, but I think he who hesitates is going to be full of regrets for the rest. That's the thing. That's the choice. Do you want to be the guy that sits at the bar or across the dining room table and says, after a few drinks, oh man, I could have bought Railtown. I could have had 100,000, 110,000 shares of Railtown. And, I had it. And it's worth 10 million today. Obviously, that's if it goes to $10, $100 a share. But I could have had it. I was right there, but I held on to finger, and ham is so bad. Why did I listen to him? Well, don't listen. Listen to yourself. It comes down to you. It's down to you. She's under my thumb, the Siamese cat of a girl. She's under my thumb. You just got to act, GB. I think that was your name, GB. You got to act. RB. Man, you got to act. Today's your day. Finger is down, so you won't do it. GDC's down, so you won't do it. But do it anyway. Get 110,000 of Railtown, or 115, or 125 of Railtown. When Railtown goes to 5 or 6, you can sell the 25 and buy back all the GDC and finger to your heart's content. If by that time you even want to do it, as long as you've waited 31 days. So you lock in the losses. But then you'll have 100,000 of Railtown. If it goes to 35 smackers, you got $3.5 million. This isn't about loyalty. This isn't about, I can't take a loss. I'm down in finger. I don't take losses. I win. It's none of that. It's none of that. You have a chance to buy over 100,000 shares of Railtown, and you can make millions of dollars, and instead you're hesitating. It's insanity. It is a temporary insanity. And you'll recognize it later on that, oh, I should have done it. Anyway, I don't know why I went on about that. Ricky Brogan, hello, William and RT crew. Raimundo, Tunnel Rats, Veterans, RPP 17, PO, Air, Meta, Raymond, according to Forecast International, WWAN, ABNCP, PACCS stands for Worldwide Airborne Command Post, Post Attack Command and Control System, Martial Law Q. Well, I don't have any evidence that you're wrong. Unknown Stuntman. Hi, Uncle Bill and RT investors. Wow, you're still buying. The man comes around. The man comes around. Unbelievable. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve, for Venmo. MC, hi, William. Could you explain in more detail why you're so confident that the price will rise in the coming weeks or months, given that, as you say, you've been so wrong in the past? Thank you. Sure, I can do it again. On February, a friend of mine brought Railtown to my attention 2 Octobers ago, or maybe 2 Septembers ago. And I'm like a lot of you, like you. I said, oh, that sounds great. Yeah, wow, amazing. Didn't do anything. And then we were talking again, and maybe a third time, and I recognized that Railtown is very similar to a oil and gas software company. You can look it up, Ubatera, that I was funding. It's now completely funded, but when I started, there was 2.5 million available. It's sold out. But it was there for a while, and I was hoping my friend could do it. But the whole concept of Ubatera was software that's in the cloud at the front of the drill, well, not the drill bit, but the drill chain, I guess, just behind the drill bit, giving you real-time data like, I don't know what data they can get, radar and thickness, and whether you're in the shale or you've suddenly hit nice or whatever. But what it would allow is, and it's probably AI driven, but what it would allow is teams, instead of being stuck in a big room or a truck with these huge computers, teams could, it's all in the cloud, and teams can be dispersed, and you don't have to invest in all that equipment. You just pay for this, and it allows the drill bit, the stem, to stay in the pay zone 99% of the time instead of cowboying it, and you might be in 80% of the time. So it turns, number one, it gets more oil and gas out of tier 1 assets, but it turns tier 2, tier 3 assets into tier 1 assets. It turns marginal properties into meaningful and bankable assets. And anyway, their whole plan is to build up clients using them, and then they sell to a KKR or to a Schlumberger or to a Halliburton or maybe to an Exxon or something at 10x, 15x. And in fact, they now have over 30 named customers, and that's what's going to happen. But it's a private company, and that deal's sold out. But when I heard, sort of the third time I heard the story about Railtown, I went, wait a minute, it's a different industry, but it's the same kind of story. Railtown was building out an AI, which was self-learning, and essentially, just to keep the pitch short, it allowed developer teams to accomplish things like fixing a terminal bug, a bug that could crash the whole system, or upgrading software, or putting in new software, or creating a whole new framework of software that could do it in hours or in days instead of months, for example. So your cost dramatically shrinks. And it was the same idea. We're going out one by one, getting customers. We're already embedded in Microsoft. This is 2 years ago, well, year and a half ago. And we're already embedded in all throughout Microsoft. And I said, wait a minute. So what they're going to do is they're going to have all these customers. Microsoft's going to buy this company. So I started talking about it sort of October, November of 24. And some people bought that, including me. I don't have a big position. I'm no longer a big shot. But the story kind of delayed. Well, delayed. I had a feeling, because of how quickly they were getting interest, that we would start hearing about things that would generate interest from Microsoft and others early in 2025. Now, I didn't focus on it. To me, it was just another one of the, we'll put a little money there. We have money in Ham's deals and this other guy who's very good on X. Can't remember his name right now. Well, I do remember it, but I'm not sure I should say it. For Nixie, for example, or Next Trip. And but nothing happened. And so I kind of called in. I said, nothing seems to be happening. Is this a dud? No, things are going great. They're, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right. Well. And I didn't really think much of it. I didn't want to second guess my small acquisition, because you got to let things trade, move. And I just started focusing on the other things out there, whatever it was, ZJYL or G-Bucks or GDC or Finger, Silver. And on February 8th of last year, Railtown announced that they put in the headline that they were going to acquire AIP Partnerships. They signed an MOU. In the first paragraph, they were going to come to an agreement on an LOI in a few weeks. And further down, that their exclusive banker was Canaccord Genuity. Well, just those 5 things causes the sell side computer programs to kick in and sell. They read the headlines and they just start selling. Their goal is to break up the deal, or if the deal happens, to have suppressed the price so much when they go to market for money, they go to Canaccord, and Canaccord is a notorious co-conspirator with the shorts. So they suppressed, they put pressure on the stock. But that on February 8th started, for lack of a better word, I've been chastised for using this word. There is no better word to describe it. It started a quiet period. And that quiet period still hasn't ended. It took the professorial, very smart, extremely well-connected, well-respected president of AIP Partners. It took him and his legal team months, longer than it should have, to close the AIP partnership deal, to get the votes. However, turns out it didn't matter, because they got it closed in November and the quiet period didn't end. That my friend, I guess now it looks like former friend, challenged me after they made that announcement and the stock didn't go up, it actually went down. When are you going to give up on Railtown? And I said, well, I can't, because the ingredients of the story haven't been proven wrong. I didn't use those exact words. He said, you're not hearing me. When are you going to give up on Railtown? And I think the stock was 42 cents, something like that. And, either that night or a couple of nights later, I woke up thinking, I should just tell him, you're right. Just get out. Move, it's not worth having a disagreement over. Well, anyway, shortly thereafter, right in the end of November, the stock collapsed because the computer programs, they're always pressing, they trade in margins, but they're always pressing downward. That's the path of least resistance. And their goal is to make half a penny, an eighth of a penny, a teeny weeny of a penny every day, just trading in high volume with counterfeit shares. They sell stock that doesn't exist. It's actually loaned to them, and attorneys have made it so hard to get information that everyone assumes that it's a cleansing. It's short selling is a good thing. But anyway, the stock went down from November until January, through Christmas, through the year-end selling. The bonuses had already been lined up at the end of November in most cases. And people go skiing. They take time off for the new year. They don't come back until in mid-January, and the stock was under pressure. But what happened, whilst the AIP vote was going, which, by the way, got accomplished under budget in terms of number of shares, lo and behold, something bigger was going on, even bigger than AIP. AIP is big. That's a group of companies doing $500 million worth of revenue, and they spent, to get that revenue, they probably spend $200 million or so in hyperscaler fees to generate $500 million in revenue. And that $200 million is going to go to the new relationship that is causing the continuation of the quiet period. That's TELUS. And Railtown, apparently, through information and belief, through presentations and through announcements, press releases, Railtown has entered into an agreement with TELUS at the Rimouski Data Center, the first sovereign AI data center factory in Canada. And Railtown is on top of the stack there to make it work for the clients. The two sources of income, and you can criticize me, MC. I don't know what your motive is to bring to everyone's attention that I was wrong all this time in terms of timing, in terms of urgency. I didn't make it up. It didn't happen. But I think what is going on is so much bigger that it's going to be worth the wait. But the magnitude of what's coming, you'll see, depending on whether you're on the negative side or the long side, but you'll be paying attention. You will see that I was right in the magnitude of what's happening, just not the timing. And your question is, why now? Well, at the Rimouski data center, NVIDIA, HPE, probably Cohere, but it might be Anthropic or OpenAI as a language model, and then Railtown. You've got, for 2028, probably you've got in the Rimouski data center, in the shared revenue, you are going to have, in all likelihood, in 2028, not this year, not next year, 2028, high moat, sticky, high moat, high barriers of entry, and 100% margin. You're likely to have 50 million in annual recurring revenue going to Railtown from the AI network that they purchased, transferring all of the AI network's business from other hyperscalers to the Rimouski data center. And the net that comes to Railtown will probably be around $50 million for that year. Could be more. If the Rimouski data center, they're projecting $2 billion, but that we don't know exactly what the $2 billion entails by the end of 27. But if you just assume half of it, $1 billion at 20%, the TELUS customers going through TELUS's Rimouski data center should earn Railtown $200 million in 2028. When you combine both of that's $250 million from one data center in 2028. Now, if you're a bear, you're going to say, well, we got to wait and see. No, you don't. No, you don't. The reason I think, how'd you say this? Why am I so confident the price will rise in the coming weeks or months, given that you've been often wrong in the past? Wrong on timing, not wrong on, there's no proof I'm wrong on what the price is going to do, but wrong on timing. I understood that Railtown, some things were going to happen with Railtown and AIP partners last year, but in hindsight, we couldn't have known. Telus came on, and that stretched out that quiet period. But I also think it changed the business plan for the better, the much bigger better. So it changed things. That's one reason things were delayed. The other is, that's my analysis. The other is that this orchestration framework layer is now white hot in terms, money flowed to the data centers, it flowed to the large language models, it flowed to the chat GPT type companies, but now it's squarely flowing to the orchestration and the control and governance, and in our case, real-time data ingestion layers. And I just think there's so much business coming in, both at TELUS and at Railtown, that it's delayed everything further. We got confirmation of that in the Canadian Stock Exchange filing in January, that Railtown spent, well, it was filed the first week of February, but it was about January, that Railtown spent January finalizing work on Rail Engine, which took over 2 years and was a heavy lift to build. Well, then we saw for February, they said the same thing. They worked on it for February. So maybe that was just cut and paste, or maybe Rail Engine didn't finish its rollout until February. Well, that would change the timing dramatically, and I wouldn't know about it, from it might have been third quarter last year, or maybe fourth quarter last year. Well, if TELUS, NVIDIA, and Railtown want to turn on the valve that opens up millions of users of this Rimouski data center, and big enterprises and medium-sized and small, they want to make sure that data stack works beautifully. Well, you don't open it up if the Rail Engine isn't ready. So you can say I was wrong, which you are saying, and I say about myself, but I didn't know that Rail Engine was still being finished or completed. And then you got to install it and make sure it's humming along. So there's a very logical reason, MC, for, I don't even know if we should call it delays, but a change in our expectations, which I think were driven by my urgency. But you're going to see, in my judgment, you're going to see why I was urgent. Why? Look, if and when TELUS turns the valve and the customer and revenue start flowing like 5 fire hoses turned on at the same time, full blast, you're going to see revenue jump and awareness jump, and the stock price may not take too long to move upward. And you're going to remember that I was wrong for being urgent. And if you don't listen to me now, because I was wrong in December, December I got right. But I was wrong not telling you to sell in November, or I was wrong to be urgent in October, or saying September. I was correct about August and the end of July. Why was I so urgent in June? I was wrong, so you're not going to listen to me now. It has nothing to do with me. When TELUS turns those valves, and the train starts chugging, It's not going to matter that I was wrong for 6 months or longer, 10 months. In terms of urgency, it looks like we could have waited till now to buy, but I didn't know that. It's easy to look back. But if this can be proved, remember, this does not have to happen right away. All this has to happen when they pull the valves on open and open all the valves in the Rimouski data center. It just, as soon as people start switching their data flows and their tokens and their plans to Rimouski, it's going to show up at TELUS. And it's going to show up in the shared revenue runs of TELUS and Railtown. You know where else it's going to show up? In the analysts' spreadsheets, the analysts for NVIDIA, the analysts for whatever the various funds are in Canada. I think one is Brookstone, and one is Fidelity, and one is one of those banks, Bank of Montreal, and one of those. They have all these technology funds. The analysts there are going to see it. Analysts that work for brokerage firms are going to see it. Railtown's going to see it. Microsoft is likely to see it because of the increased use of their own products. TELUS will see it. NVIDIA will see it. Microsoft will see it. And then anyone around will see it. And analysts, around the stack will see it. And analysts will see it. And what's the one thing that'll change? Once they pull back the valves, they pull back the levers and open the valves, it'll end the quiet period. So the big buyers and the insiders and the whales and the people that already know something can start buying, but also institutions who probably need an exception from their investment committees to buy under $1 or buy under $2 or buy under $3 or buy under $4 or buy under $5, they'll probably get it. But the buying will come in. And research reports will come out. And you do not need to wait until the revenue is booked. You just need to be able, the analysts, whether they're inside or outward facing, the analysts, retail and institutional, will project the 2028 revenue of $250 million from just this one data center, in my projection. And that proves the concept. Do you know how many data centers there are in the world right now? 12,000. Do you know how many are being built and upgraded to AI? I don't. Maybe you could Google it. So I'll give you two numbers, MC. I mean, you can, if you want to judge it, that I never said it was a day trading stock. I never said for sure that this was going to move, and it may take longer. But you're right. I had urgency that was premature. So if you take 200, if you take 250 million in revenue 100% margin, 2028, and you divide it by 227 million fully diluted shares. If you have 250 million projected revenue for 2028, and you divide it by fully diluted 227,000 shares, it gives you $1 a share in revenue, MC. $1 a share. What's that worth? Again, it's for 2028. It's 100% margin. What's that worth? Well, there's a lot of comps. I'll start with LangChain. LangChain raised 125 million at a post-money valuation of 1.25 billion on a projected 12 to 16 million ARR. That's what LangChain raised money at a $1.25 billion valuation. Similar, Railtown's better. LangChain doesn't have the real-time ingestion yet. But the market's so big, there's room for more than one player, like Mercedes, Lexus, and Toyota. There's room for many. 12 to 16 million was the projected ARR, and there is no margin. Why? Because they lose money. But that's the value. Well, there's two ways you can look at that LangChain value. One way is you can take the 1.25 billion which was come up with by Sequoia, Benchmark, IVF, and a dozen other private equity, and you divide that by Railtown's 227 million shares, that gives you $5.50 per share as the comp value. That's LangChain. That's Railtown shares. This is what Railtown would have to trade to equal LangChain's value in the third quarter last year. So one way to look at it is that as Railtown proves the concept, as revenues become visible, as research reports and the story is told, as the quiet period ends, as the counterfeiting slacks off, they just go back to a 6 to 9 month old valuation of LangChain, $5.50 a share. Well, at $5.50 a share from 33 cents, that's a 17x. That's 16x movement. And you can wait and you can say, William, you were wrong all this time. And therefore, because you were wrong, I'm not going to invest in the stock. That's a mistake. I have no control over decisions made at this company. I have no control of how good all the news and all the business is, and the movement of the focus of Wall Street on the orchestration layer. I have no control over that, but it's just the quiet period's being extended because the story's getting better. And you're going to avoid investing because I said urgently last June, beginning of July, last September, last October, beginning of November, I was urgent. You're going to say, well, obviously, William's wrong, therefore it's a bad investment. You're going to regret that. But anyway, just to get back to last year's valuation of LangChain is a 16x move. The aha moment comes on. Everyone goes, my gosh, Railtown's better than LangChain? It should be trading for 1.25 billion. How long is it going to take? It could be 2 days. I don't know when Telus is going to pull the lever. Telus spends a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of its personnel going around the world and doing good things. And these vice presidents have to make announcements, and it gets in the hopper, and you'll see Telus spend a lot of time on its news flow about good things around the world. I don't know when this is going to get into their hopper. I would have expected that they would have gotten it done by the first quarter, but they didn't. I now just think it's all the more urgent to get it going by the second quarter. But could it be regulators? Could it be attorneys? Could it be that they have so many deals that they're trying to lock down, Railtown I'm talking about, that they want to lock down the deals first before they come public? Yeah, it could be all of these. But just because Williams said you better buy it, you might not have much more time, and he was wrong, doesn't mean that momentum isn't happening right now at Railtown. The other way to get the value is that $1 a share ARR. LangChain was priced at 85x. 85x. Well, do you know what $1 times 85 is? Yeah, $85 per share. If Railtown projects at 250 million in revenue a couple of years from now, and they give it an 85x, remember, this is LangChain's multiple. LangChain's losing money. And the purpose of the money they raised was to build out their platform and their tools. Railtown's is already built. You're talking about an $85 per share number with this valuation. Well, the other thing you can look at is a SaaS number, software as a solution number. And really miserable SaaS come in at these X's, just slow, not growing, 5x, kind of just puttering along, 10x, 15x, it's a little bit better, software as a solution. You can use those multiples. And you know what that works out at $1 a share. That's $5, $10, and $15. And by the way, these multiples are against the projected earnings. They happen now. They happen now. Do they happen in 2 weeks? Do they happen in a month? Do they happen in 2 weeks? I don't know. But I have a feeling they happen before the end of the second quarter. Whenever Telus pulls back the curtain, turns on the valve, and the revenue starts flowing, it's not guesswork anymore, my friend. And this is SaaS multiples. software as a solution multiples. What if it gets orchestration framework multiples? Well, now you're talking and that comes now. That doesn't come 2 years from now. You're talking 25x, 30x, 35x, 50x. And it's really easy if you break it down to $1 a share in 2028 to figure out what these targets are. $25 a share at 25x, $30 a share at 30x, $35 a share at 35x, $50 a share at 50x. That's why I think it's going to happen. And then, MC, has nothing to do with me. If you go to 250 million in 2028, you're talking about having $20 million a month in cash flow, in profit, in moolah. 20 million a month. And growing. So I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't wait. I think the catalyst will be TELUS. But I don't think that'll be the only thing. You got Uniserve we know about. It looks like we have quantum AI, which looks big. And what if the Railtown software connects the 5-layer cake at the TELUS data center such that Railtown's its tools interact with the energy level, coordinating how energy is spent, gets immersed in the chips level for governance and usage, gets into the infrastructure level for the same reasons, gets in the models for orchestration, governance, keeping it on the rails, but also real-time ingestion of data. And Railtown's up here in the application level, coordinating it all. Railtown is the net, the electric net, keeping the cake humming and working. And then the users are at the top benefiting. If you don't have Railtown, and, obviously Google is creating its own ADKs, Amazon's working on hers, but we'll find out, but I think Railtown is the best. Doesn't matter. The market's so huge. There's room for everybody right now. But if Railtown proves to make this cake smooth and taste good, the users are going to be buzzing about it. And there's 12,000 of these cakes in the world and growing. If Railtown, let's cut back on that revenue for 28 and call it 200 million. If Railtown does that, 200 million on one data center, and goes around the world, and all of a sudden gets, I don't know what you call them, contracts or licenses or tie-ups at 5 more data centers around the world. just 5. You have 6 data centers then doing 200 million in 2028/2029. That's over $1 billion in revenue. What if Railtown hits it big and 25 data centers around the world demand it? And that's just data centers. That's not quantum computing or any of the other uses that are potential. And 25 data centers do 200 million in revenue each in, let's say, 2029. That's $5 billion in annual recurring revenue. And MC, my point to you is this isn't rocket science. A intern could do this arithmetic. Now wait, let me see. That data center at Rimouski, they're getting X amount of revenue, and now they've signed up 50 more data centers around the world, and they're each going to give 200 million or 100 million or whatever, not 300 million. Let's just plug that into the computer. Well, that means, wait, they're going to do $5 to $10 billion in revenue a year 10 years from now. That calculation doesn't wait. That calculation isn't made 2 years from now. That calculation is made now. And if you sit around mad at William because William was wrong in his urgency and timing, you're going to miss the boat. And it's just because we're spoiled brats and we want everything now that we expect 100, 200, 500% on our so-called investments in a week or in a month or in 6 months. This is unrealistic in any time in history except for manias. Railtown has all of the ingredients of being a call option on the highest upside that you've ever seen, but the call option doesn't expire. And yes, we've had to wait, but guess what? It didn't expire. So I guess I would summarize why I'm confident as being what I expected last year. I'm not going to talk about what I expected via AIP, but what I expected via TELUS after we found out about that was possibly something by the end of the year. But I certainly expected that in the first quarter, TELUS would, just out of their own interest, announce something. But, you know, they were working on the teeth of some people in the northern Caucasus Mountains, and they had to announce that. They set up a softball league in Vanuatu, and they had to announce that. They had to fly over to Turkey, and they set up interfaith telecom computing hookup. They had to announce that. There's several tribes in the middle of the Brazilian forest. They had to announce that they were going to give phone cards to them, so when they got close to a phone booth in the forest, they could make long distance calls. They've had a lot on their plate to get through, but I think TELUS eventually, because they've put billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars into their TELUS Digital, eventually TELUS is going to turn on this data center. They didn't do it at the end of the year. They didn't do it in the first quarter. I contend they're going to do it in the second quarter. But I could be wrong. Maybe they've got to start an ice hockey league in the middle of the Sahara Desert to make sure that the children of the desert get to enjoy the benefits of skating around and banging each other's teeth out in a sport of skill and skating. And they got to get that done before they're going to, who knows, maybe it'll be third quarter MC. But how much longer is it going to wait? I don't think it's going to be third quarter. But I have to admit it could be. I think that TELUS is going to turn on the valves in May. And I bet it's early in May. But it could be sooner. And you know what? It could be later. But what are we really talking about here, MC? Months? Weeks? To get maybe 20x on your money out of the gate. And then I showed you the multiples. You could get another 10x or 20x from there. Is it worth the wait? Or do you want to time it so exquisitely? Because your money, you can't have your money tied up. You have so many opportunities out there. Like Finger, it went from 70 cents to $1. Or oh my gosh, Next Trip is up 25 cents. Oh my, I can't be out of GDC because it once was 12, or whatever's on your mind. What opportunity out there do you have that's has the potential to give you 100x over the next 90 days to 6 months? And if it takes longer than 6 months, are you going to be upset? But you can't get the 100x if you don't pay 35 cents. Maybe up to 60 cents. But if you wait, because William was wrong, it has nothing to do with William. What's going on, this is like watching a horse race and picking which horse is going to win. I have nothing to do with the horse. It's going to win or it's not going to win, regardless of me bloviating up in the stands about my secret trick. Knowing which one's going to win. It doesn't have anything to do with me, MC. So my confidence comes from, I think TELUS is on the verge of announcing that they're going to open up that data center for full flowing business. And I would have thought they would have done it in the first quarter. They didn't. So your logic is, because I was wrong by the first quarter, I'm going to be wrong about the second quarter. I don't see it that way. I see it as they should have gotten it open by the end of last year. They darn sure should have gotten it going in the first quarter. I think it puts more pressure on a company. Remember, Canada is not about capitalism as much as we are. They have they plan things. They have more of a social do-good aspect, and they don't do it quarter to quarter like we do. But when it comes, it's going to come on like gangbusters, and it's going to come now and for the rest of your life. And why? Just because it didn't happen in the fourth quarter and it didn't happen in the first quarter. Why won't it happen in the second quarter? Simply because it didn't happen in the first quarter? That makes no sense. They have 10, 20, 30 billion dollars in these data centers. They have NVIDIA's best chips. They have the first AI sovereign data center in Canada. They have green energy. They have hydropower. It's all set up. It's 30, 40% of the cost of any competitor. Why wouldn't they get it going in the second quarter? I see it opposite of you, because I'm not criticizing, I guess, and trying to pick holes in it. Maybe I'm too much of a believer in the story. I see it that they didn't get it done in the first quarter. Hell yeah, they're going to get it done in the second quarter. So I guess that's my confidence, is I think TELUS is going to break loose in the second quarter. It's going to have the effect of a unbelievable aha moment on Bay Street, the city, and Wall Street, and Palo Alto. It's going to end the quiet period. I think the counterfeiters, the stock loan departments, are going to pull back on the automatic issuance of non-existent shares. They're the only ones selling. The only selling is non-existent shares. No locate, no delivery, no enforcement. That's going to back off. They'll keep trying, but nobody real selling the stock. There's an occasional sellout, a stop limit order, stop loss order. But I think my confidence comes, this whole blue net is the hottest space in AI right now, and it's becoming the hottest space in quantum computing, and it might even become a hot space in chip manufacturing, chips making chips. And it could be the critical part of agentic AI creating a parallel internet, so AI agents talk to other AI agents without us. And this could be the critical layer in robotics and self-driving automobiles, drones. It's powerful. And when that aha moment comes, it's too late for you to buy your stock. And if you're just holding back because William was early, I don't know many investors that get the timing exactly right. Warren Buffett didn't with Washington Post, Coca-Cola, or Geico in the short run. But when you look back, wow, he did a great job. Get used to it if you're an investor. When you buy, sometimes you're too early. Almost always, if you hesitate, you miss the chance. But it's stupid, MC. It is the stupidest reason that you can have to not buy Railtown because William was early. That's stupid. That's amateur, and it's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you dearly. Has nothing to do with William predicting the horse race. The horses went up to the gate. One of the horses spooked. They had to pull all the horses back out of the gate and re-enter them, and one of them wouldn't go in. They pulled him back out. That's 2 quarters. And now the third time, the second quarter, they're putting him back in the gate and the gun goes off. And if you're judging that the third time they get in the gate, I'm not going to make any bets, because the first time in the gate, they pulled back. The second time in the gate, they pulled back. So the third time, it's not going to run. That is asinine reasoning. And frankly, it's going to cost you money. It's a non sequitur. But anyway, I think I spent enough time explaining why I'm confident. Okay. Chess night. Good day from Utah, William. I picked up 600. Wow. Good for you, Chess night. $600 more. Wow, 160. So you guys put us over. You guys, but Steve and Chestnut put us over the 4-leaf clover. You put us over 19,400,000 today. That's pretty big. CJ Yukon already debunked. Good. I'm glad. I thought I just didn't believe it. I don't think Trump, they want us to think Trump is somehow losing his mind. Pat M, nuclear thing was debunked. I'm so glad to hear that. MC, time for bed here in Germany. I'll listen to everything in the woods with the dog tomorrow morning. Well, tell your dog guten farten. No, guten poopen, or gut poop. Tell your dog he's a great dog, and I hope you get to see his ears flap around and his tail wag, and he's all excited to chase a rabbit. But anyway, MC, thank you. I'm not trying to be hard on you. I'm just really telling you, if you're hesitating because my timing was wrong, you're going to miss one of the greatest opportunities to turn a little bit of money into a solid coin, and then you're going to have the ability to do whatever you want. MC, thanks for your daily effort. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Adelep, sir, RT is looking good. Like you say, no one is selling. Exactly. No one's selling. Ward Richardson, good afternoon, William and RT crew. Picked up. Wow. Ward Richardson, another one of the giants of Railtown. That's a nice pickup. 8,014 cash cows today. Buy while you can. I agree. I think one of these days we're going to find, you're going to find that we can't buy. You know what's ironic? Not only will you not be able to buy it inexpensively, you will not be able to buy these kind of volumes. All of this stock that's being sold to you is security entitlements. And frankly, I think it's going to bite some people in the what was that? Hi, Jenny. Did he say the word buttocks in that movie? I can't remember. God, I remember the date I went on for that movie. It's so long ago. I'm so old. Life is like a box of chocolates. Gary Dale reposted this stream. That's great. Babcock, good afternoon, William. I'm trying to catch up. Can you briefly state the potential range the little gold company might sell for? Speculation, of course. I think this deal will be accepted by the shareholders unless I come up with an alternative. And I intend to come up using our, many of you participated in this little LLC. Using that LLC, as the vehicle, I intend to come up with a counter proposal, but I need to have at least one anchor investor, and then we go from there. But if this proposal were to, when I spoke to the gentleman who has raised almost all of the money for the company from inception, and many, probably all of the big investors are his, and he's closest to the founder of the company and the brains of the company. He's also trapped in LA by his health, but his brain, in my opinion, his brain is still as sharp as ever, and his enthusiasm is as sharp as ever. But I grilled him today, and he either doesn't know or he won't say he knows what the deal is going to be, but it's going to be offered shortly. It's not the original pirate of about a year or so ago. It's the guy who put up $1 million instead of my guy. And his group, which is a very sharp group, and he's I like him. They are likely to offer, and I personally, that's speculation on my part. I don't think they're going to put up a lot of money. I bet they put up $2.5, $3 million, but it needs $5 million. So that might be a strength we have. We're going to be willing to do, but they'll commit to covering all the rest, and they have the credibility of spending whatever's necessary. But I think for a small amount of money up front, they're going to buy the company, your company, my company, and it's not going to have a defined price. It'll be we'll commit to pay for everything necessary to build out the pilot plant. We'll pay the overhead. We'll pay the all the salaries. We'll pay everything, and any debt will cover the debt. That's it. That's how they'll buy the company. And then they'll say, so we get zero from that, zero. And it's buying the company for nothing. But they cover all the obligations, and they get it through to pilot plant production and proof of concept. And then they will cap. We will get an override. I don't know what it would be. It doesn't matter what the percentage is, because it's going to be capped. I would imagine, I don't know, it could be anywhere from 5%. I don't think it'd be higher than 20% royalty. Maybe 25. I don't know. Third for a quarter, maybe. But it'll be capped. I would imagine it'll be capped at I'd say 200 million, or maybe 250, maybe 300 million. So we'll get that revenue. And then once it reaches, let's say, 250 million, it might be more, it might be 500 million. That's it. We got everything we're ever going to get. And he gets the 25 billion or the 50 billion or the 100 billion over time. And that's the reason my tension level was so off the wall with unqualified people running offices in bureaucracies just because of certain characteristics at birth. Because this that's an enormous. I'm mad at myself that I didn't. I stayed loyal to. I'm still loyal to that investor, but it's a shitty position that his bureaucrat has left us in, and himself in, because we now will have all the risk of a zero, which I don't think is going to happen. I think this is going to work. And we just get capped out at maybe, maybe 25 cents or maybe 40 cents a share. That might be the number, 40 cents a share. That's 100 times. No, it's 10 times on our money. Sorry, 10 times on our money. It's nice, but it's not, I don't think it's right. So what I'm going to try to do, and I just found this out about 2 hours ago, and that's why I was so urgent about that LLC we all participated in. I'm going to see what I can do to protect our interests, but also create a competing offer. We can't go in with that kind of greedy offer, which is going to be presented like being a savior. I think it's greedy. But maybe we can ask for a little bit more than what was on the table before. Who knows? But I've got to get into action on it, and I'll start tonight. I'll make some phone calls. I think I'm going to need one key investor that stands in, and then I think we can. I don't know how, we'll put some money in escrow. We'll negotiate. I'm sure this other group will have milestones. Maybe we have milestones. It's just going to be a back and forth. But maybe by that time Railtown works out, it's $5 or $10 or $15, and everyone involved can peel off shares. I believe I can set it up, and I've already sought advice, and maybe I set it up at Morgan Stanley at my old office, or set it up at an online place. But maybe people can just transfer a few shares over as an investment in the company. I sell the shares, so there's no capital gain. That's how I think it works. That's what I have to get advice on. And you get credit for the value of the shares as the value of the investment. Anyway, I think there's a way that we can come in either as the only investor, or we can, by being a competing bid, we can make his bid better, and maybe we just participate alongside him. Remember, he did an extensive due diligence on the project, and this is a group of guys, I think originally mostly out of New York and New Jersey, but I think they're still based in Manhattan, but I think they might have moved to Florida like everybody else. But they do deals. And so they invested $1 million not on a story, but on thorough due diligence. And so that's the good news. I think it's a confirmation that we're in the right thing. And you know, when I talked to my friend, the guy I was speaking with, he said, "You're going to make a lot of money. Just get the money in. You're going to make a lot of money. This is going to win. It works." And I believe him. I believe him. I've never heard him describe it that way to me before. And I would imagine that that's why this group is going to make an offer, because they know it works. I think the risk is out of the deal. But that is opinion. That's not a promise. That's an opinion. I apologize in advance if you already stated it. I might have stated it. No worries. Zero. The price they're going to pay to buy the company is zero. And they will commit. I haven't seen the offer, but this is the likely offer. And they will commit to cover all costs, all debt, through to production. Then they'll either sell the company, JV the company, or stand alone, but they'll be in control of it. They'll own it. We won't. And that's a shame for my guy, because we would have been in a position, and I would have worked with all of you to finance the various stages, but it'll go to them now. You know, them's the shakes. So what would we get is an override. Now, if we got an override that was not capped, that was in perpetuity, we'd make a hell of a lot of money. Even at 5 or 10%, we'd make a massive amount of money, but they're going to cap it. These are Wall Street guys. They're private equity guys. They know how to squeeze the original investors, and they're going to do it. That's their job. So the only way for us to get the benefit of our investment, I mean, if we make 10 times our money, I guess they're going to argue, how can you complain about that? I guess that's right. But to me, that's not why we got into it. It's to participate in the big upside. So I'm going to have to come up with an alternative plan. And it's going to include all of us. And it's going to go through the vehicle we already set up. So if people can't put more money in, they will participate in it, however it gets done. But I need it. I got to think it through. I got to, like I say, I have to have an anchor investor, and then I'm going to have to call around and source other monies, make an offer. You know, it's the whole process. But if you recall, the potential is over 200 million ounces of gold, maybe 250 million ounces of gold. It's just huge. But if you use 30 or 50 million ounces of gold, you use 30. Hell, use 25 million ounces of gold. And assume gold goes to 5,500 or 6,000. Goldman Sachs has a target of 6,500. the profit will be $5,000. That's 125 billion. And if we could finance that under the similar terms of the contract that my friend and I negotiated, we would probably make something over $100 a share over time if we produce that amount of gold. That's just 25 million ounces, by the way. If it's 100 million ounces, obviously it's 4 times that. So you're looking at 500 billion. You're looking at $500 a share. So Justin, it's really worth it for me to make an effort to come up with a competing bid. And that's what I intend to do. Joe Marty, man, I hope that doesn't happen with the gold company. That's like a worst nightmare. No, the worst nightmare is everyone bickers and it falls apart and it goes bankrupt and we get zero. But yes, I agree with you, Joe Marty. I personally think that's like a worst nightmare because it's a cram down. It's a cram down. And they'll come in like they're rescuing us, but they're just taking the company. And I don't like it. So we have to create an alternative. And that's what I'm going to do. I hope. And then they'll probably change their offer. We'll have to change ours. But let's see what happens. That's like a worst nightmare. I hope another investor comes in or you can find one, at least be able to work a better deal with no cap. Yeah, I don't know about getting no cap. They're not going to do it. But maybe you get a higher cap, or better yet, well, I'm not going to talk out loud about my ideas. I have some ideas. Donna M., congratulations, Ward and Steve. Exactly. Congratulations to them. Donna, congratulations, Chestnut, and anyone else I missed. Pat M. just got another 9,100. Mein Gott. Mein Gott. That's awesome. That's a great number. Ward Richardson. I guess that's it. I don't know what to call that. A thumbs up to Donna. Pat M. And added those in my newly opened second Roth since my first. That's great. One, Pat M., one wouldn't let me buy under $1. See, that's frustrating, but that's also lets you know that there's a source of buy. As the stock price goes up, there's a natural source of additional buying. Like when whatever your other firm was, once it gets above $1, some people at that firm can buy at it. So it's the potential energy that could fuel a nice rise in the stock. Steve says, thanks, Donna. Donna says, congratulations, Pat. Pat says, thanks, Donna. Use tax refund money. Awesome. Awesome. T. Alex, greetings, William, and RTAI crew. I like that. Chestnut, thanks, Donna. Thank you, Donna M. Donna M. The gold lady never got back to me. Ever disappointing. I've found a coin dealer to send my coin to registered mail. I'm emailing them pictures along with several other dealers. That's smart. Yeah, I know that frustration. I won't bore you with my story, but the saga continues, and it feels like it's like the I don't know, they are against you when you're trying to raise some money to get into Railtown. But on the other hand, working the process, eventually there will be some money. I mean, Donna, you might face a situation where you finally get a chance to sell it, but the stock's, I don't know, 90 cents or $1.20. That might happen to me. And that'll be tough. That'll be tough. Because my brain will be telling me, gosh darn it, I could have had this at 30 cents. But if I truly believe it's going to go to $10, $15, it's a good buy at $1, $1.20, or, you know. So anyway, all you can do is keep working it. And I keep telling myself anyway, not to get stressed about it. I can't control it. Each day I try to do something, and I can't control anything other than that. T. Alex, nice day. All days are nice. It's just that some days are diamond, some days are gold, some days are better than others. Steve, filled. I got my last 2,000, 4,500 today, Steve. Amazing, Steve. Amazing. You guys are all my heroes. Good afternoon, Bill and fellow RT investors. This company is an investment, and today far more buyers than sellers in a very big down day for the markets. CB isn't a keynote speaker to fill a chair. Well, I think he's a moderator, but you're right. You make a very good point. It's the first time Corey has at least to my knowledge, it's the first time Corey has taken the stage at all these conferences since February 8th of last year. And maybe before that, but that's the so-called quiet period, my name for it. That's got to mean something. And that comes, if I recall, that comes at the end of April, which I don't know where my calendar is, but the end of April, I think is, oh, here it is. I don't think it's this weekend. I think it's the following midweek. Let me look. Some days are diamond, some days are gold. Oh. Yeah, the end of the month is not this week, next week, and that conference, Discovery X, is on the last 2 days of the month. So you're right, Neil, that there may be a significance to that. My own opinion, which doesn't mean anything, is that because nothing has happened on the Monday or Tuesday this week, I would write this week off, and it could be Monday or Tuesday of next week. And I'm no more sophisticated than when there's good news, it usually comes at the beginning of the week. That's about as sophisticated as that analysis is. GLTA train is already moving out of the station. 46 cents got picked off today. At will on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Donna, I'm getting the coin authentication and sold as soon as possible. Yeah. I hope you get it done as quickly as possible. I tried to figure out, and you could do it, for how many shares you have. If you were to have been able to do it maybe last week or the week before, you could have bought X amount of shares. Maybe by the time you get it done as soon as possible, you'll only be able to buy this amount of shares. And I tried to sit down and calculate, well, if I call what I could have done a full position, if I call that 100% of the position, what if I only am able to buy an additional this amount? What percentage of that 100% position do I have? And once I looked at some of those numbers, it's not perfect, but it calmed me a little bit. If I can have 2/3 of the position or 3/4 of the position or 80%, it sounds like it's a little bit better than, darn it, I could have bought this much stock at that price. Anyway, that's the psychological trick I'm going to do for myself if I ever get anything. I've been working on it since September. This time, previously, I worked in vain, so I might be working in vain. Justin Babish, just because the people who run RT are whales of shareholders, they will get rich when the company is successful and the market cap soars. They would prefer the cap go up organically. Look, we cannot expect the company to juice or gun the stock price prematurely. They want to make sure that they're on a strong foundation. So, like Atlas, they can pick up the whole world and the foundation will hold. So we might be waiting for that, whether it's regulators or attorneys or contracts or just interviewing new deals or whatever the hell it is. It could be that the rail engine or something, that whole platform, they're still working on it or they're still testing. It could be that. It could be the large language models are still being, we don't know. We just don't know. But whatever it is, you can be guaranteed that TELUS, NVIDIA, Railtown, and everybody in it wants the success. And so the delays aren't just for kicks and giggles. It's for real reasons, and I think probably for good reasons. The principals at the company are not trying to get the stock up so they can day trade, and nor are the whales. They're going to hold on to this. And unless major things happen in the markets, I would expect most of the insiders and most of the whales and most of the employees will hold on the stock until the company's sold or until the company is worth unbelievable amounts per share. And I wouldn't imagine they'll ever need to sell. Justin Babish, also the insiders are more patient because they know what is happening behind the scenes. Yeah, that's a good point. They understand what's happening. We're guessing a little bit, and we're we're trying to piece together information that's not complete. So you're right. They probably have more calm staying power than we do. We just have this little support group. Well, that's true. And I think a lot of you guys and girls are very much supporters of each other and of the company. Look, I don't know who it was the other day, but I'm not recommending blindly holding the stock through thick and thin, although I am recommending holding it through any kind of volatility that might happen in the short term. So maybe it's the same thing, but we have to be aware of the risks and if there's changes, all of that. But right now, I think all of the changes are to the maximum better. I think things are looking fantastic. And anyway, T. Alex. Hey, Justin Babish, thumb up, thumb up, thumb up, thumb up, thumb up, thumb up, thumb up. Lion of many traits. Hello, William. I am buoyed by the bullishness in Railtown and am reminded of the classic Spanish phrase, mi encanada escarpata on cualquier pueblo. I don't know what that means. I hope it's not a bad word. Let me see. Me in encanta eshar pata en cualquier pueblo. Sí. ¿Qué significa anchar la pata en México? No suena tan vulgar. Meaning, literal translation. I love to throw a paw in any town. Idiomatic meaning. I love to hook up and have sex in any town. Thank you, Lion of Many Traits. This is a vulgar slang expression for having sexual intercourse. It is very informal, often coarse way of describing this action. On cualquier pueblo means in any town or in any village. Therefore, the phrase means the speaker loves to have sexual encounters while traveling or visiting different towns. I really appreciate it, Lion of Many Traits. I mean, I couldn't have gotten through the day without that assholeian comment of yours. I just really couldn't have gotten through the day. Yeah, that you had the courage to put that up, it just brightens my whole life. Giuseppe, hi, William and everyone. Institutions that don't know about RT, how was their curiosity not sparked by the investment from Mike and Doug? They probably didn't see it. Companies that followed BB might have seen it, but that doesn't mean they're allowed to buy it because the stock's under $1 or under $5. There's so much on the plates of all these funds. There's money flowing in all of these stocks, and they're inundated with deals and opportunities. And I think this just doesn't rise to the arbitrary cutoff where they'll even look at it. But that's life. I mean, movie skits move around, movie scripts move around before someone picks it up. Books are ignored until someone picks it up. Chiquilitas are never ignored, but sometimes maybe the guys are ignored until they have a big wallet. RBC, TD, Scotiabank. What are the RM guys getting? Yeah, absolutely. It's probably waking some people up. No question, Giuseppe. Justin Babish, RT is a call option that doesn't expire. Lots of laughs. Very reminiscent of something I used to hear a lot from Ham. I think I remember where. Ha ha. Still true though. Was it from Ham? I don't know. Justin Babish, let's not make it the new marching cry. What, that vulgar expression? No, let's not. Hey, Bob's. Hello, William and everyone. Congratulations to all of you adding more. I agree. Giuseppe, bit of a bummer regarding Nevada. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, I think that's for people that added to the position. That's one of the reasons why is to make sure each of us has a bigger piece of the opportunity. I have some other reasons why too, which I don't really want to talk about over the air, but we won't give up. But you're right, it's frustrating. I'm not surprised when I look these guys up. I really like the guy who invested and who's on the board. But I'm not surprised. These are hard-nosed deal makers, and they know how to recognize an opportunity. Anyway, we just have to come up with an alternative. All right, so Lion of many traits has just proven that he needs to be banned, which he is. He's now banned. And their comments are removed. So Sumama Mikasa to whatever is all gone. All right, let's get this down. And let me see. It looks like what's his name is returning. Vance came back to the White House, but Trump is extending the ceasefire as he backs off bombing. Everybody is John McCain. Bomb, 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 Iran. Democrat quits Congress in disgrace after stealing $5 million to buy a diamond ring. Let's see where it closed. Yeah, good. I'm not signed out. Xanadu actually closed up 23.44. Railtown 32.5. Help me if you can. Closed at 105. Finger is 103. GDC 385. All right, let me see what I had for you today. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as if they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Why she had to go, I don't know. She would not say. I said something wrong, now I long for yesterday. All right, let's see. Where do I start? Not with singing. I know, I got you. Not with singing. I got your point. I got your point. Jeffrey Fast. Jeffrey Fast. Good for you. 33,000 is a tremendous position. That is awesome, Jeffrey. Congratulations. All right, I'm going to show you what I had today. Of course, I can't quite tell which one to start with. I think it's this one. If the Rimouski data center goes full bore, that was my word, full bore, live customers onboarding via the Sovereign AI Factory, quantum pilots running on Xanadu and other QPUs, that's quantum instead of GPUs, QPUs, get it? Marketing that names Railtown as a key software partner, then the story really changes from, quote, interesting micro-cap AI dev tools, unquote, to, quote, essential part of Canada's sovereign AI plus quantum stack, unquote. In that scenario, licensing deals can snowball because any Canadian bank, utility, logistics firm, or government agency who wants sovereign AI quantum access is funneled through TELUS and its software partners. There goes, I forget who the gentleman was from Germany, Est Librum Sum or something. That's it right there in one word, one sentence. As soon as it's proven on TELUS, it's all funneled through TELUS and software partners. It's huge. Railtown's dev tools and Rail Engine become the default way those teams build agentic and quantum aware workloads on that sovereign footprint. So yes, a visible production level ramp at TELUS run sovereign data centers is exactly the kind of kickoff you're looking for. I guess I used the word kickoff. Sorry for the noise of opening my water. And then I asked about the mispricing. It gives the market a concrete demand signal and a channel story which small caps almost never have. Mispricing and how to think about Railtown. From a purely structural perspective, you have credible strategic validation. Mike and Doug's capital and board involvement, explicit quantum hybrid positioning via quantum.iq, TELUS sovereign AI factory distribution. These aren't fictions of my imagination, in other words. The broader quantum stack, NVQ Link, Xanadu, TELUS, IBM D-Wave Cloud, clearly needs orchestration, that's Railtown, dev tooling, that's Railtown, and real-time data ingestion, that's Railtown. That is the gap Railtown is built around. This is going to prove the genius of Corey and Marwan. And then they're going to be spoken of in terms like Lennon and McCartney, Keith and Mick, and Doug and Mike, and Sonny and Cher. The listed quantum names have, is this it? Oh yeah, I skipped a bit here. Let's go here. Put together, Railtown is not yet, quote unquote, yet another ML ops. It is Agenic Dev Tools, Railtrax ADK and Conductor, and its real-time ingestion, Rail Engine, and its hybrid classical quantum orchestration via quantum.iq for real workloads. In that niche, there are very few direct competitors. So in their space, there are very few direct competitors with the same classical plus agent plus quantum focus, which is why you were feeling this might be unique. Is Railtown already embedded in the quantum stack? There are three concrete anchors. One, quantum IQ licensing Conductor explicitly to power its hybrid quantum cloud and QSDLC software development lifecycle platform. IBM Quantum, D-Wave, hyperscalers, CoreWeave backends. Two, TELUS Sovereign AI Factory collaboration. Railtown's Agenic Dev Stack will be deployed on TELUS's Sovereign AI infrastructure and offered to Canadian software teams as the default agenic tooling. Three, BlackBerry co-founders. They did a $3.4 million placement, with Mike joining the advisory board and explicitly helping on collaborations with Canadian data hosting providers and firms to build a Canadian-focused AI development and deployment ecosystem. Separately, TELUS has now signaled an MOU with Xanadu to explore hybrid quantum classical data-centered infrastructure in Canada, photonic QPUs, plus TELUS Data Center HPC stack. Oh, this is out of sequence. Railtown stack does address a real underserved pain point in the emerging hybrid quantum ecosystem. And the BB TELUS positioning gives Railtown unusually strong embedded leverage for where Canada's sovereign quantum AI story is going. Whether that translates into, quote, massive TAM and clear mispricing, those must have been my words, depends on execution and how quickly TELUS and partners scale real workloads. But the setup is asymmetric. what pain point Railtown actually solves. From the Quantum.IQ partnership release, Railtown's conductor platform is being licensed as the core of a first of its kind hybrid quantum cloud platform, a platform that analyzes code to find quantum suitable pieces, a platform that decomposes workloads between classical and quantum backends, a platform that provides quantum observability across both layers, a platform that orchestrates across local hardware, public cloud, and accelerated AI platforms like CoreWeave. That is a very specific QSDLC/orchestration and observability problem that most quantum startups are not solving. Hardware players, IonQ, Xanadu, Pascal, focus on QPUs and low-level SDKs, not on end-to-end developer workflow and production observability across mixed stacks. In parallel, Rail Engine gives real-time, event-based ingestion so agents, and in practice, optimization workflows, can act on streaming enterprise data rather than batch logs. TELUS is standing up sovereign AI and sovereign quantum infrastructure. Railtown is already embedded as the agentic/developing tool layer for the sovereign AI factory. Quantum IQ is positioning Conductor, Railtown IP, as the orchestration layer for hybrid quantum cloud on IBM/D-Wave/hyperscalers. This does not yet amount to Railtown is the default standard for all quantum data centers. I might have asked it that way, I don't remember. But this is real embedding in the Canadian sovereign AI plus quantum stack at design phase, which is rare for a microcap. Total addressable market and valuation setup, top down. Hybrid quantum classical infrastructure, H, as they say, H, PC, and quantum, is explicitly positioned by TELUS and Xanadu as unlocking workloads in AI, pharma, materials, cyber, and national security for Canadian enterprises and government. The Quantum IQ platform is targeted at finance, logistics, climate modeling, polar bears, and advanced research as initial quantum-ready workloads. The TAM Railtown can tap is not, quote, monetize QPU cycles. I didn't say that, but per seat, per organization licensing for agentic dev tools and observability, and platform usage fees for Rail Engine driven real-time pipelines in sovereign AI/quantum environments, and indirect participation where Quantum IQ and Data Sentry partners license and embed conductor-derived capabilities in their platforms. Given that the CSE's own write-up frames Railtown AI dev platform as attacking a, quote, trillion-dollar problem of software productivity and defect costs across enterprises, and Mike and Doug are explicitly investing to help turn that into a Canadian strategic platform, it's reasonable to say the total addressable market is structurally very large. To wit, enterprise software plus sovereign AI plus quantum ready dev, not just quantum niche. And it's reasonable to say the market cap is currently anchored to, quote, tiny Canadian AI dev tools name, unquote, and not, quote, strategic sovereign AI plus quantum middleware. So there is clear room for narrative and multiple expansion if Railtown lands visible deployments. This is your investment thesis, buried in a long answer. Here's the I guess the warning or the risk, but total addressable market only translates to valuation if Railtown and TELUS show real annual recurring revenue from TELUS Sovereign AI Factory customers. That, going back to my answer to Q. I can't remember the name actually, but the gentleman from Germany. This is the key. When TELUS turns on, you're going to see real ARR, and it's going to be projectable. And anybody can take that growth track and multiply it by the number that, take the revenue and the growth, multiply or calculate that, take that number, multiply it by a multiple, and then divide it by the number of shares. Anybody can do that. So this will be a huge change when the valves open up on the TELUS Sovereign AI Factory. Dive, 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 or torpedo, fire. I don't know what example to give. Proof that quantum IQ powered hybrid cloud actually wins enterprise pilots in those targeted verticals. So that's the quantum story. Railtown's going to get revenue from traditional AI, if you can call it that, and from quantum. But the quantum's kind of the icing on the cake right now. Reference architectures where Rail Engine is the canonical event bus into quantum optimization or agentic AI on sovereign stacks. Will Rimouski TELUS data centers be the catalyst? TELUS and Xanadu's memorandum of understanding, that's Xanadu, that's not Railtown, about sovereign quantum classical data center infrastructure sets the stage for a Canadian home base for hybrid AI quantum workloads. Separately, TELUS's Sovereign AI Factory collaboration with Railtown positions Railtown as the software tooling and agentic layer offered to customers on that infrastructure. This is huge. That means everything that runs through there touches Railtown, and when it touches Railtown, it's a revenue split, and when it's a revenue split, it's ARR, and when it's ARR, it's a multiple, and when it's a multiple, it's divided by the number of shares, and it increases your share value. Listed quantum names have generally traded at rich multiples despite tiny revenue because listed quantum names are seen as quote unquote optionality, call options, on a new compute paradigm. Railtown is currently valued as a small AI dev tool shop without fully pricing its role in that same paradigm. That's exactly the profile of a potentially mispriced call option on a large total addressable market, deeply asymmetric if they execute and their partners scale, but a highly path dependent, they have to execute. They still need to turn those MOUs and advisory relationships into recurring revenue and visible usage. My contention is they will. If you want to pressure test whether it's truly mispriced, the key question I'd focus on is this. Over the next 12 to 24 months, do you expect TELUS to land enough paying workloads that Railtown can show, say, mid-single growth to low double-digit millions of recurring revenue tied to the sovereign AI quantum channels? Hell yeah. I think it's going to be much better than that. If you're comfortable that the answer is yes, then your total addressable market / valuation upside thesis has a solid backbone. But that's our investment. That describes our investment. Canada absolutely can translate into a global story. And importantly, Railtown's upside is not confined to quantum. Quantum is just one high leverage vertical sitting on top of a broader agentic developer platform. Railtown is more than the quantum wedge. Across their own materials and recent deals, Railtown positions itself as general agentic developer platform with quantum as one important but not exclusive application. The core platform is Rail Engine, real-time ingestion, Railtrax ADK, agent development framework, and Conductor observability. Together they form a generic stack for building and operating AI agents and software dev tooling, not just quantum workflows. Small and medium enterprises and enterprise distribution. The Uniserve MOU gives Railtown access to 3,000 SME customers via Uniserve's managed IT and data center footprint, explicitly framed as bringing accessibility to our AI agentic frameworks and observability tools to the long tail, small and medium enterprise audience, academic research depth, co-development with Amy and collaboration with Mila are about advancing Conductor and core ML capabilities, not quantum specific work. So yes, revenue could be large, even if quantum never takes off, because the same stack powers software dev, developer intelligence, agentic automation for SMEs, and broader AI app development. The Canadian strategy is being used explicitly as a template, not a one-off, a template for other sovereign situations. Canadian-centric first, but not Canadian only. The BlackBerry co-founders' placement and advisory role are about building a Canadian-centric AI development and deployment ecosystem. But that's primarily about where compute and the intellectual property live. It does not limit who can use the platform. Once the stack is proven on sovereign Canadian infrastructure, the same pattern can be replicated with other telcos and regional cloud / co-location partners in Europe, MENA, etc. MENA is the Middle East and North Africa, and a bit of West Asia. Channel pattern is repeatable. TELUS Sovereign AI to Railtown as the agentic/dev layer for Canadian enterprises. Uniserve to Railtown as the AI layer for thousands of SME customers via an existing IT hosting channel. This, quote, attach Railtown to somebody else's wagon, to somebody else's compute and customer base, unquote, playbook, is inherently portable to other managed service providers, sovereign data center initiatives, and telecoms. Global network via AI partnership. The AIP transaction and its almost 200 affiliate network are explicitly framed as a way to accelerate global adoption of conductor-based tools by next generation AI software companies. If Railtown can show, one, that TELUS Sovereign AI Factory plus Canadian Sovereign Data Center story actually drives usage and revenue, and two, the Uniserve and AIP channels convert into recurring revenue in non-quantum use cases, then you have a credible model to walk into other regions of the world and say, quote, here is proof. This stack works as the agentic developer layer on top of sovereign or regional AI/quantum infrastructure. Why Canadian wins matter disproportionately? Canadian success is uniquely leveraged for a few reasons. Policy and funding tailwinds. The government of Canada is actively soliciting proposals for large-scale sovereign AI data centers with big planned capacities and strong data residency rules. Being the house stack on early Canadian sovereign builds puts Railtown in the reference architecture conversation as these funds are deployed. Signaling. Mike and Doug backing plus TELUS and National AI Institutes, Amy and Mila, create a signal that this is the Canadian agentic developer platform. And how? That signal travels internationally, especially to other countries considering their own sovereign AI/quantum footprints. Quantum as a call option. The Quantum.IQ partnership and any eventual TELUS Xanadu style integrations means that if hybrid quantum really scales from Canada first, Railtown is already in the wiring diagram. That kind of embeddedness is much easier to expand outward than to win from scratch later. Cat scratch fever. All right, let's see. I did that. Is that what I did? Yes, that's what I did. So this is it. Is this it? Looks like this is the end. Stay tuned for the next Underdog Show. Where is, oh, I see. I swear I'm dumb. Quantum as a call option. The Quantum IQ partnership and any eventual TELUS Xanadu style integrations means that if hybrid quantum really scales from Canada first, Railtown is already in the wiring diagram. That kind of embeddedness is much easier to expand outward than to win from scratch later, and it's easier to repeat it than ignore it. So yes, if Railtown proves the model in Canada, with visible usage across TELUS Sovereign AI, Uniserve SMEs, and AIP affiliates, the same architectural role, agentic development or developers, plus ingestion, plus observability, plus hybrid orchestration, that same role is inherently global. Global, go global. The fact that their stack is cloud/data centric agnostic and framed around developer productivity and agents rather than any one quantum vendor makes it portable. The single most important open variable is, can they demonstrate in the next year or two a level of adoption and annual recurring revenue in Canada that is compelling enough to sell this as a template to a Vodafone/Orange type telco or regional sovereign district comics program elsewhere? Well, I contend that this is the important question, but I don't think you wait 12 or 24 months. I think this becomes clear within 2 to 6 weeks of when TELUS turns on the valves. That's what I think. Mein Gott. Mein Gott. Railtown fits into the quantum ecosystem as a software layer, enabling hybrid classical quantum development, not as a QPU hardware builder like the 17 NVQ link companies. Ward sent me this part, and Ward found 17, they're all private, quantum companies which have been funded at nice prices. I didn't print it all out because I just thought, I mean, it's just reading a bunch of company names that none of us are going to remember anyway. Through its 25 partnership with Quantum IQ, Canadian Quantum, but remember the 17, that's a huge market where Railtown could be on top of all of their business. Anyway, Quantum IQ, Canadian quantum software firm, Railtown licenses its conductor platform to power a hybrid quantum cloud that orchestrates workloads across classical GPUs, cloud infra, CoreWeave, and quantum providers, IBM Quantum, D-Wave. This positions Railtown upstream from the NVIDIA NVQ link hardware layer, providing developer tools for code analysis to identify quantum suitable algorithms, workload decomposition, splitting classical/quantum tasks, and quantum observability across hybrid stacks. Recent developments that strengthen the Railtown role, the BlackBerry investment aligns Railtown with QNX/BlackBerry Sovereign AI Data Center initiatives you mentioned initially. That was Ward. Rail Engine launch is another strengthening development. That's real-time data ingestion for AI agents, complements quantum optimization use cases like logistics and finance. So the summary of this fit, Railtown to Quantum IQ platform, it leads to integration with NVQ link QPUs plus classical NVIDIA GPUs. They're building the quantum-ready software stack BlackBerry/TELUS would deploy atop of the 17 QPU instead of GPU builders hardware. Guys, this is big. And you never thought of it before. I didn't either. Railtown's AI stack, especially Rail Engine, is positioned, as critical middleware for quantum ecosystems we've discussed. Railtown's conductor platform, enhanced via quantum.iq partnership, and Rail Engine, real-time data ingestion for agentic AI, addresses key pain points for NVQ Link 17 QPU builders and their private company subset. Why is it critical for the quantum scene? Hybrid orchestration gap. The 13 privates deliver QPUs. NVIDIA provides NVQ Link CUDA-Q, but developers lack tools to decompose classical quantum workloads. Railtown's code analysis plus observability fills this. This is huge. Real-time data bridge. Rail Engine feeds live data, sensors, logistics, finance, into quantum optimization runs, essential for enterprise pilots. For example, DIRAC's defense/autonomous systems, inflections, navigation, which they showed it. I didn't print it all out. There was a whole list of these 17 companies. BlackBerry/TELUS synergy. Their investment aligns perfectly with the sovereign data center focus, enabling QNX secured hybrid quantum stacks. Positioning. The QPUs, which are built by private companies, leads to NVIDIA via the NVQ link, leads to conductor/rail engine or Railtown, leads to enterprise apps, the users. Without this software layer, Railtown, the hardware remains lab bound. Railtown accelerates commercial viability for logistics/optimization use cases, dominating these firms' partnerships. Well, hush my mouth. Railtown's Rail Engine and QCT-RL Fire Optimal serve distinct roles in the quantum stack we've discussed. Rail Engine focuses on real-time classical data ingestion and pre-processing for agentic AI workflows, feeding live sensor/telemetry data from rail logistics or QNX systems, feeding this live data into quantum optimization engines, acting as the data bridge upstream of QPUs like those from the 13 private companies or NVQ Link hardware. It's classical first, designed for BlackBerry, TELUS, sovereign data centers, where quantum is one backend among GPUs, D-Wave, and IBM. Fire Opal, by contrast, is a quantum native performance optimizer, which sits directly on the QPU hardware, applying AI-driven error suppression, noise-aware compilation, and circuit abstraction to boost algorithmic success on real devices. For example, 6 times larger rail scheduling problems on IBM Quantum. It solves noisy execution downstream, enabling utility scale runs without user tuning. Key differences: Rail Engine versus Fire Opal layer. Rail Engine is the classical data pipeline to quantum. Fire Opal is quantum circuit execution, leads to results. The core function of Rail Engine: ingest, process real-time data for agents. Fire Opal: error suppression and optimization. Rail Engine, Railtown/Quantum IQ Hybrid Cloud, Fire Opal, Network Rail Quantum Scheduling, that's the use fit. The NVQ link, Rail Engine, workload decomposition to GPUs. Fire Opal runs deeper circuits on NVQ link. And then the Rail Synergy, BlackBerry QNX data leads to quantum solvers. Quantum solvers under Fire Opal leads to optimized schedules. So they are complementary. You look very nice today. So do you. Rail Engine would prepare data for Fire Opal optimized runs on IQM/Pascal hardware via NVQ link, creating an end-to-end stack for your TELUS Sovereign AI data center scenario. Railtown handles the messy classical world. Q Central tames quantum noise. And that, I think, was today's lesson. I think that's today's lesson. I might have something on QNX, which I can't quite read it. So let's look at it. QNX. QNX OS for Safety 8.0 and NVIDIA IGX Thor deliver a unified platform for real-time control, functional safety, and AI at the industrial edge. Hanover, Delaware. QNX, a division of BlackBerry Limited, today announced an expansion of its collaboration with NVIDIA to enable developers to build and deploy next-generation safety-critical edge AI systems on NVIDIA IGX Thor. The expanded relationship sees QNX OS for Safety 8.0 integrated with NVIDIA IGX Thor and Halo's safety stack, combining QNX's proven deterministic real-time operating system with NVIDIA's functional safety platform to support regulated AI-enabled systems across robotics, medical technologies, industrial applications, and more. NVX Thor, IGX Thor is designed to support the demanding compute, functional safety, and reliability requirements of edge AI systems deployed in regulated environments, from autonomous mobile robots to humanoids, surgical robotics, medical imaging, and industrial automation platforms. When combining NVIDIA IGX Thor Halo Safety Stack with QNX OS for Safety 8.0, developers can consolidate real-time controls and safety concepts on a deterministic microkernel-based RTOS while using NVIDIA accelerated compute for AI-driven capabilities such as perception, planning, and decision-making. Well, that clears that up. This unified mixed criticality approach consolidates system architectures, supports safety certification processes, and enables rapid scalable development from early prototypes through production deployment. Quote, as robotics, medical, and industrial systems become more autonomous and software defined, safety and determinism cannot be afterthoughts, said David Hume. Or was it Rene Descartes, or was it Sartre? Who is the determinist? I don't remember. I stopped studying philosophy after my really intelligent professor from Harvard was found hanging in her closet. I figured it wasn't worth it. Anyway, this is from John Wall, president of QNX. Integrating QNX OS for Safety 8.0 with NVIDIA IGX Thor and NVIDIA Halo Safety Stack brings together a trusted real-time safety foundation and a powerful functional safety platform for Edge AI. This expanded collaboration builds on our work with the NVIDIA Drive AGX Thor development kit and extends the same proven architecture from automotive into the next wave of regulated intelligence systems. The new milestone extends QNX's long-standing relationship with NVIDIA and builds on their recent announcement highlighting the integration of QNX OS for Safety 8.0 with the NVIDIA Drive AGX Thor development kit, which aims to accelerate automotive and autonomous vehicle deployment. This latest collaboration underscores how the same proven safety architecture and trusted real-time capabilities are now being applied far beyond the vehicle to robotics, medical, and industrial edge systems. And it seems like this announcement repeats itself. Early access registration is now open for the NVIDIA IGX Thor developer kit with QNX for select customers interested in developing on the platform. QNX provides high-performance foundational software that helps simplify the most complex challenges in industries such as robotics, automotive, medical devices, industrial controls, commercial vehicles, rail, aerospace, and defense. QNX empowers organizations to unlock new possibilities in areas like high-performance computing at the edge, standards-based virtualization technologies, and cloud enablement. Trusted in the world's most critical systems, QNX continues to lead across a range of sectors, including robotics and healthcare, where its technology is deployed by 9 of the top 10 doctors in the world. I made that last part up. 9 of 10 of somebody. QNX provides high-performance foundational software that helps simplify the most complex challenges in industries like robotics, automotive, blah, 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 blah. It's so repetitive. About BlackBerry, about QNX. I'm going to skip both of those, if you don't mind. And I think that is your lesson for today. Let me see if any. Jeffrey Fast. Awesome, 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 awesome. Solomon's Treasure. I love the singing. I get a lot of grief for my singing. It's better if I do it in the shower alone. But thank you very much. Solomon's Treasure. Did you get my 1600 from last week? Yes, I think that's correct. I did. Jeffrey Fast, best rendition of Yesterday was by Tom Jones, in my opinion. Tom Jones was a hell of a singer. I missed my house because I had, not a brand new stereo, but I had speakers and it was all brick on all sides, so I could turn up the volume in front of the fire back when I'd have a friend or two over and pour a bit of a jar. And I remember listening to Tom Jones. It's not unusual to love. But the one I liked that he did, which was amazing, is how does it go? You don't have to be rich to rule my world. There ain't no particular sign I'm compatible with. I just want your kiss. He did a great job with that for a 70-year-old guy. Amazing. 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 Jeffrey Fast. Best rendition of Yesterday was by Tom Jones, in my opinion. Best rendition of, I don't know why it popped into my head, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. I know what you're going to say, and you're wrong. You are wrong. The best rendition of Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, best, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor. Snoopy. Hey, Bill and gang. How are you? How's it hanging? Oh my gosh, the Dow's down, NASDAQ's down. Let's see if the drummer in the White House, Trump backs off. Trump extends Iran ceasefire again as he backs off bombing threat. God bless him. But you know what? Our ally, not our enemy, our ally will probably go ahead and bomb. All right, let me see. Any other little tidbit out there? That's one thing that's going to change. And I think it's for the better. But as more and more women become powerful in Congress, you're going to see more of this. House Ethics Committee publishes full list of investigation into Congress members for alleged sexual Congress in misconduct cases. So that's Congress studying cases of Congress. Wow, Eric Swalwell. These are all of a sexual nature. Misconduct with a staffer. Tony Gonzalez, relationship with a staffer. Corey Mills, misconduct and dating violence. Matt Gaetz, misconduct with a minor. Solicitation of prostitution. George Santos, harassment of a staffer. Madison Cawthorn, relationship with a staffer. Michael F.Q. San Nicolas, relationship with a staffer. Tom Reed, harassment of a lobbyist. Alcee Hastings, relationship with a staffer. Katie, a woman. Katie Hill, relationship with a staffer. Ruben Cahoon, harassment of a campaign staffer and lobbyist. Patrick Meehan, harassment of staffer. Blake Farenthold, harassment of a staffer, Trent Franks, harassment of a staffer, John Conyers, harassment of a staffer, Alcee Hastings again, harassment of a staffer, Eric Massa, harassment of staffers. Wow. Oh, there's more. Mark Foley, misconduct with pages. Gary Condit, relationship with a staffer. Mel Reynolds, misconduct with a minor. Barney Frank, misconduct involving prostitution or use of house gym. Gus Savage, sexual, they're all that. Harassment during official travel. Jim Bates, harassment of staffers. David Buzz Lukens, misconduct with a minor. Make you vomit. Sex and drugs investigation involving pages. Jerry Studs with a minor. Daniel Crane with a minor. Wayne Hayes with a staffer. Wow. That could shake up the Trump Congress, I guess. All right. One more place just to see. Trump extends truce until Iran submits proposal, U.S. to maintain naval blockade. Well, at least there's no bombing. Israel marks 78th Independence Day. A Jesus statue gets more empathy than Palestinians in Israel. This is an Israeli newspaper called Haaretz. Anyway, let's leave it at that. It gets a little too political. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. It's 8:28. Let's pray for peace in the world and comfort for all those harmed by the wars and the military actions, and those without a place to sleep and no one to turn to. Let's pray that somebody helps them. And I pray for each of you peace tonight, and we'll reconnoiter tomorrow. Hopefully, tomorrow's Wednesday. Yeah, hopefully earlier than I did today. So with that, peace out.